This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. Good day to our Talk is Sheep listeners. Thanks for joining us. This is a very cool one. We're joined today by Mitchell Jones, and Mitchell he's a buddy of mine on Facebook, as a member of the Wild Sheep Society, and Mitchell had a bear excursion, we'll call it that, recently, and I was happened to see it on social, reached out to Mitchell, and he was kind enough to come on the podcast to talk about it. There's some cool takeaways for us sheep hunters that I think Mitchell did so many things right, and just had some bad luck on the day. Obviously lived to tell the story, and really grateful for that. Just a couple things I do want to touch on before we jump into the podcast with Mitchell. As our members know, we're doing all kinds of horn aging courses all across the province, and we've actually got 9 across BC. We've done several already. This is dropping the week of May 20th. We have one this weekend in Smithers, and then, like I said, many of these we've already held. We've got one July 5th in Comox, July 8th in Abbotsford. Kamloops is June 14th, Cranbrook on July 12th, and like I said, Smithers May 24th this weekend, and in Fort St. John we have one on July 5th. So get over to our website, wildsheepsociety.com, and there's horn aging right on the homepage. Click on that, and there's registration for these. They're completely free. The society's invested in this for our membership to make sure that you are properly equipped when you're in the field for horn aging. And so it's a free course, but we ask you to register, and we'll send you all the registration details about the event and everything for each of them. There will be one in your region, and if you happen to miss it this year, we anticipate doing this sort of on a yearly basis, so you can catch up next year. But love to have you out for that. A couple things, too. We've launched 3 really cool new raffles. We've got our Magnificent 7 Ride Skin Precision Optics. We've teamed up with them for a phenomenal raffle package, $80,000 just shy of in prizes, 7 rifles. We're going to draw the early bird here in at our Comox event on July 5th. So make sure you get in before that, because you're going to get 7 chances to win. And hey, what happens is if you get drawn, your name goes back in, so you get multiple chances. So really, it's 7 chances to win this amazing prize package. We got a Gunworks Climber as our first place prize, but just a whole plethora of amazing rifles from premium manufacturers, and again, all led by Precision Optics, and with the support again of many different companies within the industry. So really grateful to our sponsors, and this is a great package. It's important to note that this forms basically 10% of our budget for our conservation work within the province. So really, really, really impactful work that we're doing there, and you buying a ticket allows us to do the conservation work that we do. We also got a Leica optics package, courtesy of Leica, and about a $15,000 prize package there. And we also have a premium backpack package that we're putting out. I think there's 6 prizes in that package. You got 6 chances to win a premium package. So Sitka Gear, Stone Glacier, Cafaro, Exo Mountain Gear, and just a great lineup of prizes. Mystery Ranch as well, 6 different packs to win, and so great way to support the Wild Sheep Society BC and continue doing the work that we're doing for wild sheep and other wildlife across the province. So with that, we want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this great episode of the legendary Mitchell Jones and his encounter with a black bear. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Precision Optics. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Precision Optics, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk is Sheep, and an extra special guest here. Really, really excited to have you on, Mitchell. I'm looking at you. We got a great background. I see an incredible Billy in the background, mountain goat, a beautiful bear, which is very topical considering where we're going today. So welcome to Talk is Sheep.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome, man. So I guess for our listeners, let's learn a little bit about who Mitchell Jones is, where you're from, what you do, and then we'll kind of get into the exciting part. We'll talk about some bears.
Okay, I'm Mitchell Jones. I live in Kitimat, BC, northern British Columbia there on the coast. I've been hunting for 15 or so years now. Bear hunting is my main staple, what I love to do the most. Got been hunting dogs for 5 years now. I got one hound, one black and tan coon hound, Karelian bear dog, and a West Siberian Leica that I used to hunt. I work at Rio Tinto, and I'm a volunteer firefighter on the side. So, yeah.
Few things on the go there, and obviously a young growing family that's into all kinds of sports too. So you're a busy boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so why bears? Just out of curiosity, why bears? What's the passion there?
I think getting into when I first got into hunting, it was just one of the easier hunts to get involved in, I would say, especially up here on the coast. We got lots of bears, lots of black bears, lots of grizzly bears, which obviously we can't hunt anymore, but not too many deer up here. So bears was like what is what we look forward to every spring. It was the easiest to get out. You had 2 tags. So that's kind of what I dove into first. And it just it grew on me, and now I'm a little bit obsessed with it, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably an understatement. So you get into it just road hunting, typical driving around looking for bears. It was like glassing south facing slopes, and then slow progression, or like how did you end up with the dogs?
Yeah, that's how it started. And then eventually, yeah, 5 years. I've had my dogs for 5 years now. Or my first dog I got 5 years ago. I wanted to get a hunting dog. I wasn't sure what kind of hunting dog I wanted. I looked into bird dogs, but grouse season's only a couple months long. So I wanted something where I could hunt, like I could use the dog more often. I looked at beagles for a little bit to hunt hares, but I didn't want to end up having 3 or 4 dogs, which eventually I did anyways. But and then I thought about hounds, and same thing. I didn't want to have a whack load of dogs. I lived in a little house with a small backyard. So I looked, the first dog I came across, I just did some Google searches, came across the Karelian bear dog. Probably a pretty well-known breed now. A lot of people have them just for hiking and stuff like that. But if you get dogs from good bloodlines, they're amazing bear hunting dogs. And then it progressed from there. I started with the one. I hunted for a few years with just the one dog, and we did good. He fearless, put up a lot of bears. And then I ended up getting a hound a couple of years later, black and tan coon hound. Doesn't hunt as hard as the Karelian, I'd say. She's a little soft. She loves to chase. She'll chase bears, and but as soon as we get them treed, she shies away a bit. But I think the other dogs, the hype from the other dogs kind of scare off a little bit. And then after that, I ended up with a West Siberian Leica. It's also a Spitz breed, similar to the Karelian bear dog. Obviously, the Karelian comes from Finland. The West Siberian Leica comes from Siberia. So it's an indigenous dog from indigenous people of Siberia. Pretty much the same hunting style as the Karelian. Quite a bit different than hounds. Fearless. They have no problem go to head with bears. So, yeah.
Very cool. So with those 3 different dogs, obviously you mentioned that your black and tan coonhound's a little bit more, I guess, reserved. Does she have a better nose than the other 2, or is there benefits, or and if you're going to get another one, what dog would you go and get to sort of your next dog?
Yeah, 100%. The black and tan coonhound. We'll drive around. I got a side. I hike with them a lot, and just let called free casting. Let them run around, find a track, and find a bear. And the Spits, their noses are nowhere near as good as the hounds. So if they're finding a track, I'm going to say probably within a few hours. The hound, her nose is a lot better. If we're riding, I got a side by side with the dog box on the back. We'll drive around sometimes as well, and the hound will be going up. She'll be striking on a bear track, and the other two won't even bark, won't even strike because they can't smell it. And I know it's an old track. And then if all three of them light up, I know it's probably a pretty fresh track. So I try not to turn the dogs out on too old of tracks, because where I live, there's limited road access, super thick cliffy country, and if your dog's going a long race, you could end up in no man's land. So we'll turn out on those hotter tracks, and like I said, hiking as well. Just hike logging roads, lots of power lines up here, so I'll hike power lines, and where I know bears will be, and the dogs usually turn one up.
So when you're hiking like that, do they have to be on leash, or they'll, like, if they get a scent, will they get on the trail and take off, or are they pretty obedient? If you're on them and you call them back, will they listen, or are they gone?
Yeah, they're pretty obedient. The hound kind of follows her nose. Sometimes she'll go off and go on her own little journey, and it takes me a while to get her back. I got to tone her a few times. The Karelian and the Leica, they're pretty good. If they do go on a track and we end up, if they're on a bear and they end up going somewhere where I don't want them to go, I can tone them back, usually a couple tones, and they'll stop chasing and come back. If they're like head to head with a bear and they're engaging with the bear, it might take me a little while longer to get them back, but they're usually pretty good. Obviously they like to chase moose and everything too, so sometimes you got to watch out for that. If you know they're on a moose, then they usually get a little bit of shock to get them off them, try and break them off the moose. But sometimes you don't know what they're chasing, so you assume it's a bear, but not always.
Yeah, so that was kind of my next question. So you're cruising down the road, and they start going off, and you stop. Do you get out and try and see if you can see what's there for tracks, or are you out and you let them go and hoping for the best?
Yeah, if all three of them strike in the box, we'll get out. We'll look to see if there's any tracks, any fresh scat or anything like that. Obviously, you don't want to turn out on lots of grizzly bears, so you don't want to turn out on a grizzly bear. And then we'll make a decision if we're going to let them out or not. We'll see how the terrain is, where they might head, and then we'll make a decision. Other times we just come around. We'll be driving and come around the corner, and there's a black bear feed in, and we'll just dump them all out and let them have chase. So.
Right on. What kind of distances are they running, like, before they'll tree a bear? Are you tracing them 2 miles back, or are they having something treed within the first couple 100 yards?
If we're hiking roads, the two spits, their hunt style is a little bit different than hounds. They're quiet on the track. They're really stealthy, really quiet. They won't open up on the track like a hound will. They won't start barking. So they're pretty stealthy. If we're hiking and the wind's right and they smell a bear, the bear usually doesn't know that they're there until my fastest dog, the Leica, is pretty much hanging off its ass. So, and then at that point, they're both on top of it. Usually there's enough pressure on that bear. We'll tree them within, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards, sometimes sooner. But we have had bears that don't want to tree and just want to keep running too.
So I guess in that scenario, like, that's the benefit with the Leica, where they're stealthy. They get up on it, and then basically they're on it. They scare the hell out of it, and it wants to tree right away. Whereas they start barking from half a mile away, the bear's like just takes off, and then by the time they catch up, then they're treeing it. So travels a lot further, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Their stealth is they hunt they use all three senses. That they use their eyes, their ears, and their nose. where a hound is more going off their scent. And there's, like I said, super stealthy. So they get in close and they're only small dogs. My Leica is probably 45 pounds. My Carillion, I think, is 55 maybe. So they get in nice and close. And by the time the bear knows, it's usually getting bit already.
So my cousins had Carillions. They ran them, and they're just super aggressive. They'll go up and they'll bite the bear and go after it and stuff. Like, have you had any issues where your dogs were? I don't know, we're getting there, but aside from this last incident, have you had any scenarios where your dogs have been injured or hurt?
My Leica, he's definitely got a lot higher prey drive than the other two. I think the first year I had him out, he was old enough I was comfortable turning him out on bears. The Carillion, all three dogs struck from the box, and I remember putting out the Carillion first, and he worked the track for a bit, and he came up tree not too far, a few hundred yards from the tree line. Could hear him barking. So I opened the box and I threw the pop out. He was just under a year, I think, at that point. And he charged down there, and I assumed the bear was treed, but I don't know if they had it bait up or it came down the tree. But the dog came back to me after a little while, and then I noticed that on the GPS, the Carillion was moving again. They stop barking once they're moving again. Once the bear's not stopped or the bear comes out the tree, they'll stop barking. I noticed they're moving again, and the Leica came back to me, and I was wondering why he came back. I'm like, why aren't you chasing? And then I noticed saliva on his back. So I took a look in his fur there, and must have been on the bear all of 10 minutes and got himself bit already. He had four punctures right in front of the back hips, kind of in that soft spot in front of the hips, but clean punctures. He took a little bit of a break, I think, for the rest of the evening, and then he wanted to hunt the next day. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome, eh?
Yeah,
that's
they're
crazy.
They're a lot tougher than us. They can take a few bites, and it doesn't bother them as much.
So, and sorry, tons of questions here, but like I'm just so naive when it comes to hunting with dogs. I've never hunted cats or anything with dogs, and ironically, a couple of my buddies here in Courtenay are pretty active in that community, but I've never been out with them, and I'm definitely going to work on that this winter, see if I can go along for the ride. But is a girl or guys, like men, males, females? What is there a better?
I have my two spits are males. My hound's a female.
Okay.
I think if I was to get another dog, which I'm planning on soon, hopefully, I would probably stick with all males. I'm not sure exactly why. I just find them easier to deal with. The Spitz breeds can be known for a little bit of aggression between other males, but I've never had those issues. I made sure to curb any of that right from when they were puppies. Like any food aggression or anything like that, I made sure that it didn't happen again. Kind of put them in their place. Like you got to be obviously not heavy-handed, but you got to be dominant. You got to be in charge of the dogs. You can't really let them get away with stuff. So So besides that, I stick with all males really. The hound, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep trying to hunt her. It's been a couple of years now, so I've been hunting her, and I might just get another Leica and just stick with the Spitz because their hunting style's more. It's better for the terrain I like to hunt. So, right,
yeah. And with the males, are they? Do you get them cut? Are they neutered? Or are they better off like uncut?
I did get my first one. I did get cut. I probably wouldn't do that again.
Okay.
It didn't change his drive at all. I didn't find, but it definitely. I found it slowed him down a little bit, and definitely that I had to cut back on his food a little bit because he start it the same amount I was feeding him when he was uncut, take that testosterone away, I guess, and he seems to pack on the pounds a little easier. So definitely slowed his speed down a little bit. So my second male, I didn't get cut. I've had no aggression issues really with him besides with game. He doesn't like little dogs, but besides that, no. Yeah, I wouldn't get him cut again, I don't think. Unless there was a real aggression issue that I couldn't deal with. Maybe I would just see if that would calm them down, but I probably wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, right on. Cool. Okay, so now you mentioned, like, just for somebody that's maybe considering dogs and looking at this, is it a lifestyle changer, a game changer? Obviously, you got a family, you got kids. You mentioned a smaller yard. Do you still have that? Are you able to make that all work, or how do you manage all that?
Yeah, I got a tiny little backyard. I'm in town, so I don't have a nice big space for them to run around. So I pretty much took up half of my backyard and made it into a kennel, really high fence kennel. So they're out there a lot. It is a lifestyle change, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's crazy. They're just as much family dogs as they are a tool, a hunting partner. So I mean, we get out for lynx in the winter time too. You just gotta. I mean, I'm out in the woods anyways. I'll go hiking with them. We'll run the roads or whatever, go for a ride on the side by side, and they'll run next to me. Really well behaved dogs. So not much change in the household, really. Just like if we go away for sports events or we want to go on a hunting trip where the dogs aren't involved, it can be a bit of a pain trying to find someone to take care of them, or the local kennel, space in the local kennel for them to go to for the time. But besides that, not much has changed. They're really as much a part of the family as anybody else. So.
Right on. Okay, so there's pre-hunting dogs and there's post-hunting dogs, and you talked about getting into bears. And is experience with dogs that much, like, so much better? I know a lot of us don't get to do it. I've never done it. I'd love to do it. A friend of mine, Daryl Hosker, he reached out. He was going to hunt with his buddy JJ in the caribou there, and they got out, and he just said it was such a cool experience. So, is it a game changer in terms of bear hunting, like, enjoying it much more, or is it more about just the experience with the dogs?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's easier. Like a lot, you hear that misconception a lot. People say that hounds or dogs or whatever, it's so much easier. I wouldn't say that's the case. Lots of stuff. Sometimes, like I said, you're treeing way off in no man's land. They don't tree every bear. There could be a lot of frustration sometimes, mechanical or issues with the Garmin, lost dogs, injuries. So I wouldn't say it's easier than maybe just driving the road and shooting one on the road, but it's just the experience in general. Like I said, with these Spitz dogs, they're more of a hunting partner than they are a tool. Like you're hunting with the dog, and it's just you build a bond with them, and just a friendship and the teamwork between you and your dog, and the accomplishment you feel when you take a dog from a puppy and train it up, and he starts treeing bears by himself, and he does what you hoped he would do. It's just that feeling is I guess better than any spot and stock black bear hunt that I've ever done. So
very cool. And you got a young family too and stuff like that. So how is it involved with the kids and stuff? Like, what aspect of that? How important is that aspect? And are the kids interested in running the dogs and getting out? And I guess it's they're pretty young, right? So you got to be a little bit careful with chasing bears with them at this point.
Yeah, they've been involved pretty much every step of the process, from puppies and the kids with the puppies and training them and everything. The kids come out. They come to the trees. If we got a bear tree, they'll come to the tree. They'll hang back. Obviously, I was out last weekend. We're after what we're going to talk about today. We've been a little more cautious, but Yeah, they come to the tree. They'll help pack out meat. So the kids are just as much involved as everyone else. They love it too. So
Awesome. Okay, so we made lots of references about what happened recently. I see you sporting a cast there. We talked a little bit about that before we went live. So you had a bit of a rodeo recently, and of course we're buddies on Facebook and kind of get to see stuff. And I seen you post. And you're in the hospital and all bandaged up. So you had a pretty exciting bear hunt. So let's hear the whole story. Let's get into the nitty gritty, like time of year, who you're with, just the whole thing. Let's start right from the very beginning and talk through the whole process, please, Mitchell.
okay. So I'll try and get this in chronological order here. I've told this story so many times now. So yeah, it was April 29th. Me and a friend of mine who's been hunting for a few years. We're going out for a bear hunt. He hunted bears the year before, kind of by himself, not much success. So I wanted to get him a bear this year. So we headed out just outside of Terrace, and he picked me up. We left the side-by-side in the dog box, and we took his little Escape, his Ford Escape. So we only had room in the vehicle for 2 dogs. So we brought the 2 Spits. We headed out, I don't know, maybe 1:00 in the afternoon. Hit a road that I like to hunt early because we usually find some good bears on it. Hunted for a few hours, didn't see anything. Still pretty early in the season, April 29th. Didn't see anything, not much scat or anything. There was just one road that my wife and I the week before went up, and we knew it would probably have bears on at some point. So we went up that road after not seeing any bears. We went up that road, and sure enough, there's a good bear standing in the road. Come around the bend, bear sees us in the vehicle, takes off into the woods. So we turned the dogs out. They chased it for a while, 10 minutes or so, had it treed at one point, not far off of the road. We started heading in, and then the bear, I don't know if the bear came down or maybe he was just bait up in there, but started making a run for it again, and they started heading way away from any roads, and we're heading up this kind of this slide heading way up the mountainside. So we ended up toning them back. We didn't want to have to hike all the way up there. So we toned them back, got them back to the truck. They were tired, loaded them back up. We continued up the road. There was the next section was some fresh logging that was maybe 2 years old. And we had seen a bear there early April 6th. We seen a good bear in there that we never ended up getting. So I said to my buddy, watch this section. I usually see a decent bear in here. So sure enough, we come around the bend, and there's a bear standing on the hillside, maybe 150 yards off the road. Just from looking at it, a quick glance at it, I knew it was a boar. Wasn't huge, but a good first bear. My friend just wanted to cut a tag on a decent bear. He wasn't being too picky. So we debated putting the dog. We stopped. The bear kind of knew we were there, knew something was up, kind of fed up the hill a little bit, went behind a tree. My friend got out. We debated putting the dogs out, but I said, no, he's pretty calm. You could probably just get a shot. I would just line up, make a shot from the road. So he got out, he got ready. Bear fed up the hillside a little bit, went behind a tree. Then it kind of came back out, took another look down at us, and then it went back up, kind of went up a bit of a rise and crossed a little skid road that went across the clear cut, and went up the hillside. So we lost sight of it. We moved up the road a bit, relocated the bear. He was feeding calm. My friend lined up, had a perfect broadside shot. Bear wasn't going anywhere. Took a shot. I was watching, hit the bear, looked like a good hit. He had time the bear kind of rolled as they do. He had time to get another round in and make another shot, another hit. The bear made a run for a small block of trees, real thick timber, and then it went down. We watched the bear go down. So we were cheering. He came back and to the vehicle where I was waiting. We were kind of cheering, high-fiving. We both seen the bear go down, and we started grabbing our packs to head up the hillside to get the bear and process it. Now it's probably about 5, 6 o'clock maybe. So we had a little bit of early high fives and we grabbed the packs, started heading up there. I opened the door of the vehicle and the 2 dogs jumped out and they took off up the hillside and they went to where the bear was and they started barking. I thought it was a little weird. They started barking, a couple barks, and then they stopped. And I assumed it was just because the bear was dead. It wasn't running away from them, so they had no reason to chase or to continue barking. And then they came back to us, which I thought was a little strange. So we walked up the hillside, and the bear wasn't there. We get to where we thought the bear was down. Bear's not there. So now we're starting to think, maybe the dogs chased, maybe it was still alive. Maybe the dogs chased it into the woods, or maybe it made it into the trees without us noticing. And we found the blood trail, good blood trail, lots of blood, which everybody knows with bears can be good blood trails can be rare. So we followed the blood trail a bit into the trees. Of course, the thickest, densest group of trees you could find. We get in there. The dogs kind of move ahead a bit, and still following the blood. We're seeing blood on trees, blood on the branches. The dogs move ahead, and one dog was kind of hanging. The Karelian was kind of hanging back a little bit, which I thought was strange. The Leica moved ahead, started barking again, and it came up trees. So I'm like, okay, now he's found the dead bear. So we push in a little more, and we notice the Leica keeps moving, and I'm like, well, then we start thinking maybe this bear isn't dead. So me and my partner kind of conversated a little bit, and we discussed possibly backing out of there and giving it a little more time. And then we kind of made the decision to push a little bit further. So we pushed. I can see my Leica barking amongst the timber, moving back and forth. So now I'm assuming that the bear's still alive. See a little gap between the trees, and I see the bear sitting on his haunches and the dog in his face barking at him. Bear's not, he's sitting there. He's alive, but he's not moving much. And we could see the shots where the shots were, and we could see he was hurt. So I said to my partner there, if you get it, I wanted him to finish the bear off because it's his first bear. So I said, if you get a good shot between these trees, take the shot and put the bear down. Just be careful you don't shoot the one dog that's up there. He said, okay. Couldn't get a good shot. Finally, we moved a little closer. Finally, I said, if I get a shot, I'm gonna take this bear just for safety. And he said, yeah, no problem. So I moved in a little closer. Found a nice gap between the trees, what I thought was a nice shooting lane. Lined up on the bear, took the shot. And from what I remember then is the bear got up and started kind of engaging with the dog a little bit. Seen me, made a direct charge for me. I have a lever gun. I'm shooting a Browning BLR 308. The bear charged. at first I thought maybe it was just going to be a bluff charge, but then it didn't look like he was going to slow down. So I had time to throw the rifle up, and I remember shooting him at maybe 5 feet, hitting him. I was hoping it was going to be enough to stop him or turn him around, but it wasn't. The bear continued running. At this point, it was too close for me to reload, chamber another round. So my friend said, I don't remember doing this, but my friend said I threw the rifle at the bear's head and to try and stop him before he ran me over, which didn't work, obviously. The bear ended up charging into me, knocked me off my feet. I was wearing my backpack, so knocked me onto my back. And while I was on my back, I remembered the bear stepping on my left rib cage with one of his paws, and I just threw my right arm up to kind of block any bite that was coming my way, block my face and my neck, my head. And the bear latched onto my arm, gave me a good couple shakes, threw me around a little bit. At this point, my partner was pretty much helpless because he didn't want to shoot with me under the bear and accidentally hurt me. So the Leica was right there. The Leica jumped on the bear. From what I remember, the Leica kind of jumped on the back of the bear, and I remember the Leica growling and latching onto the bear, which pissed the bear off enough, I guess, to drop me and go back after the dog. So at that point, the bear let go of me, went after the dog. I was able to get back up. When the bear bit me, I remember, back up a little bit here. I remember him latching on. I remember feeling the force of the bite. And I remember feeling bones break and the crack and the pop of the bones. But at the time, I felt no pain whatsoever. The adrenaline was so high, no pain. Just I remember the sensation of the bones and hearing the pop. And then when the bear let go, I remember seeing chunks of cartilage and bone kind of further up my forearm away from the wounds. And I remember seeing the wounds start to bleed pretty heavy. I could see the one on top, the main wound, was wide open. That was bleeding good, but I couldn't see the wounds underneath. So I didn't have much time to assess, obviously. The bear was still alive. So I got to my feet, picked up my rifle. I knew my wrist was broken. It was pretty limp. And, of course, a lever gun, I'm right-handed. So I remember working the action with my broken wrist, feeling that, kind of the grinding of the fractures. And the bear, so much commotion going on. I can't remember if my friend managed to get another round in him or before the bear came back for a second charge, but I remember seeing the bear heading at me again for a second charge. My partner then shot him again, probably at the same distance I shot him at the first time. And thank God that was enough to turn him around at that point. You can just imagine the chaos going on. The dogs are running around. We're trying to get shots that are safe without shooting each other or shooting dogs. So that was enough to turn the bear around. And I remember him running directly away from me, where I remember throwing the rifle up and giving them the good old Texas heart shot, putting one up the ass there, and that pancaked him, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 feet away from me as he was running away. Of course, we didn't know if he was dead or not. Dogs piled on him. And my friend ran to me to kind of assess the situation. At this point, the blood's pouring pretty good. We kind of took a glance at, we seen the bear was twitching, but not really trying to get up or whatever. And the dogs were on top of him. So my partner came to me and assessed the wounds real quick. We tried to stop. It was bleeding pretty good. So I had a belt. I whipped my belt off. We weren't sure if it hit. Like it opened up my wrist pretty wide. We weren't sure if it hit artery or whatever. So we just I whipped my belt off, threw it around quickly, cinched it tight. My partner then made sure the bear was dead. Came back. He did have a bit of a first aid kit in his pack, some gauze. We had some quick clot. And he did have a tourniquet. So we threw the tourniquet on the arm, just under the shoulder, cranked that tight, and then we debated what to do at that point, whether we were going to hit the SOS or just kind of grab what gear we could grab and make it down the hillside, the clear cut, down to the road, to the vehicle, and rip out of there. We debated quickly, and we determined that just getting to the truck probably would be the best thing, because by the time we were out of there, by the time anybody got to us, we could probably be at the hospital. So he grabbed, my partner grabbed the 2 packs, the 2 rifles, my Garmin watch, which got ripped off somewhere on the hillside there. He grabbed that, grabbed everything somehow and packed it all down. I just called the dogs and held my arm up, held the gauze on my arm. We got to the escape there down on the road, and we booked it to the hospital as fast as we could. So I think it took us about, from the time it happened, as soon as we threw the tourniquet on, my partner started a timer. Obviously, you want to be mindful on how long you have those on your limbs for any tissue damage or death from lack of blood supply. So he started a timer right then, and I think we were just over 30 clicks back on this login road, and we're probably 10 minutes up the hillside. And I think by the time he had the timer on and we actually got to the door of the hospital, I think we were about 37 minutes, if I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was wild.
Wow.
I don't remember, like, still at this point in the vehicle, I don't remember any pain, really. The only thing that was bothering me was the tourniquet itself. Obviously, we had it so tight that my whole arm's blue, which is how you want it to stop the bleeding. But it was considerably uncomfortable. So he kind of reassessed it, and I remember him backing the tourniquet off a bit, about halfway there. But as soon as he did, it started to bleed pretty good again. So he just let a little bit of blood flow back into the arm. The arm kind of turned pink, went blue to pink, and then he cranked it back tight again, and we continued to the hospital. We didn't even think we were so focused on that wound, because that was the most obvious, that we didn't even think to check anywhere else really until we were driving. And he's like, did he get you anywhere else? And I'm like, I couldn't remember, to be honest. Adrenaline was so high. And like I said, I felt no pain. So I kind of give myself a once over. He made me lean forward, and he checked the seat for blood or anything, or my clothing for blood. Didn't see anything, but it turned out just from him stepping on my rib cage, I did have, they weren't deep lacerations, but pretty minor lacerations, just from the weight of his claws kind of digging into me. About four marks down my side. And then obviously the multiple punctures on my hand up to probably my mid-arm. Multiple lacerations, some clean punctures from the canines, and the others were torn open. And you could see right in there, see the muscle, see the bone and everything, see the fracture. So it was pretty serious.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
That's intense. Okay, so first of all, amazing. Incredible story. It sounds like you did so many things right. And of course, and you and I chatted about this, like, oh, there's going to be the armchair quarterbacks that, Monday morning quarterback, oh, you could have done this, or why'd you do this, or whatever. And like, yeah, I get it. Like, of course, like, and life is a series of events, and sometimes you're like, oh, I could have done that a little bit differently. Hindsight is always 2020. So, I want to first of all commend you on basically staying alive. So, that said, what are some of the things that you kind of like? What are your takeaways? One thing I noticed right away is like you guys kind of had your poop in a group. You had things dialed, and you're like, okay, we need to get you to, you made an assessment. You did kind of all the right things. And I guess probably you're a volunteer firefighter. That first responder mentality probably was really helpful a lot. And the crazy thing is you're the first responder, and you were the guy in shock, right? You're clearly adrenaline's through the roof. There's a high amount of shock. You're dealing with dogs. You're dealing with a live bear, now a dead bear. You saved your life. You did all that stuff. So, but that said, you sort of turn back the pages and say, okay, well, what are some of the things we could have done a little bit differently? And again, this is not saying that you guys didn't do an amazing job, but what are some of your takeaways? And I guess more importantly, for our listeners, what can they do to prepare in the future? Like, you guys had clotting stuff, and a lot of guys I know don't have that. Like, I have some clot stuff. Those things expire, as we know, right? So, it's even hard to have, current healthy, or like a non-expired piece of clotting gear in your first aid kit, because those bloody things are only good for a year or two, right? So anyway, what are some of the takeaways?
Yeah, like I said, no stranger to hunting bears. So, I guess my main takeaway now, sitting back thinking about it, I've done that. I've had that situation play out like a few times, numerous times before, where you shoot a bear and it runs into the thick timber, and you go crawling through there looking for it. I've had that situation happen before, and I'm sure lots of guys have shot bears before where they've had to track them and recover them. So you get kind of, I don't know, I want to say complacent, but you've done it 100 times before. You're been in tight situations before, and you don't think something's going to happen to you until the conditions are perfect, and it does. So I guess looking back, and doing stuff like this so often is complacency a bit, not expecting the worst to happen. Not we were prepared, like with what we carry. My partner's really into gear and everything and first aid, and so we were prepared, but we weren't expecting that situation to happen. So just don't get too cocky, I guess, is the best way to put it. Don't think that it's not going to happen to you, because it can happen. Gear wise, be prepared. Obviously, I always carry first aid kit for the dog, which is just as much for the human as well. It's got some of the same stuff, lots of gauze, bandages, quick clot, tourniquet in there as well, saline to rinse stuff out. I even got a stapler in there to staple up wounds on dogs, but you can use it on humans as well if you need to. My partner had his kit pretty dialed in too. He had a tourniquet, gauze, just a lot of the same stuff I had. So being prepared is obviously is important. Knowing what to do in that situation. I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures there. I'm laughing and smiling in them, but that wasn't because I was having a good time. That was just because we were trying to make light of the situation and not panic. Because once you start panicking, you raise your blood pressure, you raise your heart rate, then that can speed up bleeding and speed up shock if you do end up going into shock. Luckily I was good in this situation, but pretty much, I don't know if that covered all your question there.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So I guess that's one of the things with regards to, you do have an injured bear, and we've all been there to some degree. Kind of, you said like not be cocky, and there was an element of that, and of course you've got certainly two little protectors, right? You got your Carillion and you got your Leica, and they're going to attack this thing. You know that they're going to have your back, so you sort of
Yeah.
have that sort of mentality. But sort of, how what would have been a better way to do it? I guess a little bit slower, quieter, like you had your gun, you were ready, you had there's two of you. It sounds to me like you kind of, and again, we can armchair the heck out of this on the Monday morning, which I don't think is fair. But that said, it sounds like you kind of did all the right stuff, and it was just one of those things where you got darn unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah. The conditions were just perfect for something to go wrong. Obviously, we thought the bear was dead. What I think initially happened is we did see that bear go down outside of the trees, and he was laying down. So we thought he was dead. I think what happened when the dogs jumped out the truck and ran up the hillside, they engaged with the bear that was laying there. Fatal. He would have died. The two shots would have been fatal, but I think he needed some time. They were a little bit far back, the first two initial shots. So I think what happened there is the dogs ran up the hillside, and when they stopped barking, they barked initially, which I figured they just found the dead bear, and then they stopped and came back to us. What I think happened is they bumped the bear, and the bear got up, took off into the trees at that point. We didn't see it. And then the Carillion did the next night a couple days later when I was out of the hospital, the Carillion did, I was looking, he was acting a little strange. I looked through his fur. He did have 4 punctures, 2 bites in his rear end. So I think they ran up there thinking the bear was dead. Like we thought. They always like to have a little bit of a chew on the bear when they're dead. It's kind of their reward. So I'm sure they probably tried to have a chew on it. And then, I think the Carillion got bit, and that's why he ended up coming back to us. So I think the dogs bumped it in further, and then from there it was just the perfect storm. I guess the timber was so tightly packed. It was hard to see. It was hard to get clear shooting lanes, and then we had the dogs back in there with us running side to side. Kind of pissing that bear off more too. So in a sense, the dogs being there when we were trying to, once we knew the bear was still alive, it made it a little bit harder to kill the bear, I guess, like finish it off, because they were there, they were running back and forth and kind of in our shooting lanes. You don't want to shoot your dogs. But when I did get attacked, I was thankful they were there because, like I said, the Leica literally jumped on the bear and it was biting the heck out of him, which made my attack only a matter of, I don't know, seconds, maybe 10 seconds. I can't remember exactly. It seemed like forever, but it was enough to draw the attention of the bear from me to the dog. So I'm thankful there.
That's cool. So your buddy, who first time shooting a bear, what was he thinking when the bear's on top of you? He's sitting there with his rifle, and he's like, "How the hell what the hell?" Like, I get it. Like, he doesn't want to shoot you. Like it's a moving target. There's all this action going on. You're underneath the thing, and it's like eventually you're probably like, okay, well, I need to shoot this thing, but it's like you're fighting it. You got a dog on top of that thing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what's going through this guy's head. He's a new bear hunter.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty traumatic for an experienced guy, but for a brand new guy, it'd be just a total mind twister.
Yeah. He definitely, after we talk later, he definitely was beating himself up a little bit, about being there and not being pretty much being helpless at the time. He said I'm sorry, man. There's not much I could have done when it was happening. I didn't want to shoot you. Like, I was pretty much helpless standing there. Thankfully it didn't last too long, and he is a good shot. He does go to the range a lot. He practices a lot. So thankfully it didn't last long, and he was able, once the bear was clear of me, he was able to get some rounds into him. But he was definitely took that a little hard, which he said he had the first few nights of it was replaying in his head and stuff when he was trying to sleep, like go to sleep and stuff. So, but besides that, I mean, he did what he could do. So I'm thankful he used to be a volunteer firefighter as well. So I'm thankful he knew what to do in that situation, and with treating me and getting me to the hospital. He even had the thought to call ahead to the hospital and let the ER know that when we did get service, we were getting spotty service, but to call ahead and let the ER know that we were coming in, so to be prepared. So
that's awesome. Again, it sounds like both you guys did a heck of a job in the circumstances, given everything that was thrown at you, him included, for sure. So, any sort of, like, obviously you still got a sore hand. You got the cast on there, that the bandage. But how about mentally? Where's your brain? Are you like, oh, I can't wait to get out back in the field? And then also, what's Amanda saying? Is she like, you're not going bear hunting anytime soon, buddy?
Yeah.
Like, and then also, how's your buddy's state of mind? And the reason I ask is because I had a friend of mine that I took on a sheep hunt with me, and he had a close encounter with a grizzly bear, and like very close, like, but no incident. Basically it was a sow. She showed up, scared the hell out of him, whipped around, left, and never seen her. But he was having he was suffering from PTSD. Apparently, he was having some issues and stuff there. So, any challenges with you guys? Any mentally? Where does it stand with bear hunting? Any concerns?
For me, no, like, not really. I like the adrenaline. I like the danger a bit, and maybe that's what got me in this situation in the first place. But no, like, I was already saying, as soon as I got out the hospital, I was already saying to Amanda, I'm going back out, at least go for a drive or whatever. The night they released me from the hospital, my friend, after he dropped me off at the hospital and waited for my wife to come, he went back with another buddy to recover the bear. And as soon as they let me out the hospital, it was about 11 at night. They were still out there cutting up and packing it out. So Amanda was saying I was trying to get her to take me back down there so I could see how they were making out. But I was just out the hospital on a bunch of drugs, so that didn't end up happening. But no, for me, no issues for me, really. I'm not going to let fear or anything stop me from bear hunting. It's what I enjoy doing. I have been back out since, probably against the doctor's wishes, but we went out for a couple days. My same hunting partner there and my wife went for a couple days bear hunting, and we did get 2 more, so with the dogs as well. So I kind of just hopped right back in the saddle, which I said I was going to do because I didn't want to dwell on it too much. I'm not going to lie, it was I did shoot one of those bears, and I'm not going to lie that it was a little bit nerve wracking shooting it. It was in the tree when we shot it, so pretty decent bear, pretty big bear, but it was dead. It was dead before it hit the ground. So, but I'm not gonna lie, I did have a little bit of nervousness shooting him. So, my partner there,
so.
he's good. First couple nights were a little bit rough for him, and then we talked about it and discussed it, and we knew we did what we could, and it was just the perfect combination of things for something to go wrong. So we count our blessings. We we said it could have been a lot worse, which it could have. And it could really happen. It could happen to anybody going out hunting, or anybody even out there using the outdoors. So, I mean, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, what a cool story. And yeah, and I can imagine with your buddy there, he probably had some sort of, he was worried about you clearly, right? Even though he did everything right, and but you're always like, I know certainly you'd be like, oh my goodness, how could I help Mitchell better, and what could we done differently? And but I'm sure now that he's you're fine and you're on the way to recovery. But I'll tell you, man, it's super cool. You got a pretty cool story that a lot of people can't say that they've been attacked by a bear and came out the other side of it. So
yeah, they did recover that bear. They went back and got it. And I didn't see the skinned out bear, but they said there was 8 shots, all through the main cavity. I don't know where exactly they hit, what organs or anything, but all 8 shots. I shot 3. I had 1 round left in my magazine, and he shot the rest. So all through the cavity, main cavity, and then I think there was 1 shot in his paw somewhere when it got western and everybody was kind of flinging lead. But yeah, it was just adrenaline filled bear with the dogs barking in his face, and just didn't want to go down. So
wow, amazing.
Yeah. Besides that, injuries are doing pretty good. I was released from the hospital that night. They wanted to keep me, but I didn't want to stay. So they put a half cast on. They stabilized it. They had to realign the joints, cleaned everything out, stapled everything up, gave me a ton of pain meds, started me on antibiotics right away. They released me that night with a stack of morphine pills, and sent me back to Kitimat. The surgery was going to be in Kitimat the next day. So they sent me back to Kitimat. Tried to sleep that night. I didn't sleep one bit, just from the pain setting in. Had surgery the next day. I got a couple steel rods in my arm, kind of holding the fractures together. They grinded a bunch of bone and everything to make everything fit nicely back together. Cleaned it, scrubbed everything out real good, stapled it up. I think I had 25 staples, and then I had 72 hours of IVs every 4 hours after that to make sure there's no infection from the bear bite. And after that, I started oral antibiotics and anti-inflammatories and stuff. So I'm making good recovery. Staples are out. 6 week mark. I think it's 3 weeks, 2 days ago. So at 6 weeks, they want to go back in. If everything's healing nicely, take those rods out, and then stitch it back up again. And then it'll just be rehab from there. So I got lucky.
Crazy, man, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it. But you got one hell of a story, I will say that.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Well, that's awesome, man. What's the plans for the fall? Are you going to get back out and get after it? Are you sheep hunting? What are you doing?
Yeah, we got 2 more bear tags. So hopefully in a little bit here, we'll be back out again chasing bears, and not going to let that stop me. Me and the same friend there that I was with on this bear trip, we got I think a goat hunt maybe planned for August, and then we got depending what we get for LEH, either moose or I'm hoping for a caribou tag, but or a moose fly-in. We might do a fly-in. And then I think we got, what else did I book off? I got deer, November muley we'll do. That's a trip we usually do. I think I had one more in there somewhere. Yeah, I got a few different hunts planned, but once again, all depends what happens with LEH. So
awesome, man. Well, it sounds like an incredible fall, and yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to do this to chat with us. I know, like you said, there's people out there, and of course, on the podcast, there's going to be people that don't know you listen to it. They're not necessarily your friend group, and so I guess for our listeners, until you're in the circumstance, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And learn from it. But that said, I think you've taught us a lot of things that were done right, Mitchell. And I listened to the story, and I kind of have followed you on Facebook, and I seen it right away when you posted that first post about what was going on. You guys did so many of the right things, and it just, I think there's been many times myself personally where I feel like I've just been lucky. You maybe you just the circumstances were just right. You didn't end up unlucky, and there's so many close encounters when you're out in the wild, especially with bears too, right?
Yeah.
And I always laugh because people always talk about how, oh, it's not a grizzly, it's only a black bear. I'm like, oh my god, if you only knew, you are so freaking naive. And statistically, as you know, there's way more black bear attacks than there are grizzly bears because black bears have more of a interface with people than grizzly do. They're more remote, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, right on. Awesome, man. Any parting words? You've definitely do you have a nickname, or you got like a legendary nickname now, or what?
Not yet. I don't know. The whole town knows already, so I'm sure I'll get once I get back to work or whatever. I'm sure I'll have some nickname.
Yeah, the bear whisperer, right? So,
Yeah,
it's I can tell you, nobody's going to take you on in the bar. They'll be like, "Do
yeah.
not mess with Mitchell Jones. He will tear you apart. He killed a bear with his bare hands." So,
Yeah. Parting takeaways. I would just say, yeah, be prepared. Have that first aid kit. Lots of times I've gone out without one, and then you think you're not going to need it, but we're thankful we had it that day. Be prepared. Have the first aid kit. Have the inReach. And don't think that nothing's going to happen to you, because it could. You never know what's going to happen. So,
yeah, well said. Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today, and congratulations on living to fight another day and telling the story.
okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.